Bene, eccoci. Allora, parleremo con Joao in inglese. Ovviamente spero, vabbè, non sia un problema. Nel caso chiedete pure, proverò a fare una traduzione simultanea. Allora, I'm going to ask you just one question and then I let the audience to ask you whatever they want. So I would like to ask you something about mm, the interesting contradictions in this movie because, as you said before, this movie has some kind of genres in it. There's some like on the road movie because of course Luis is always in his car, but it's not an on the road movie, of course. And on the other side, there's something like a musical because Luis always sings, but it's not a musical, of course. It's something like a sentimental comedy because of the fact of this kind of love story with this receptionist in the hotel and something like that. And I saw also a spot of a spy movie when he was in Spain. There's this very interesting scene when he was in Sevilla. And I would like to ask you something about that. How did you manage if you did it on purpose while you was writing the script, or it went naturally? You realized it later.
I think the question with genre movies, it's it's a problem uh, of movie history
Hmm.
because if you do a film with a car, uh, people automatically put it in a box of road movie.
Hmm.
Uh, and if you sing or has some music in the film, which is or should be one of the most natural things in our lives because we are surrounded by music. It's a musical.
Hmm.
And so actually when I write and direct a movie, I'm aware of that conscience that the viewer has.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't want to pay any homage to any genre.
Hmm.
I'm not a genre lover
Ah, okay.
at all, at all. To be honest, before TECHNOBOSS, I did a film with some teenagers,
Yeah.
and it was immediately put in a teenager movie
Coming of age. Yeah,
genre
yeah, yeah.
box. And with this one, it's the other scope of age. It's someone who is retiring, but I really wanted to place the film in the present of the character,
Mm.
not to be my regard of what, let's say, getting older should be or getting close to retirement should be.
Yeah.
I try. I don't know if I succeed, but I try to be in the present of the characters
Hmm.
and to consider genres as a tool,
Mm. Okay.
being aware of the history of
Of
cinema
course.
and uh, more than homage, uh,
Yeah, yeah.
which is something that I don't feel entitled to, and I don't I don't think it's very interesting, to be honest.
C'è qualcuno che vuole fare qualche domanda? Se volete farla in italiano o in inglese, poi possiamo tradurre senza problemi.
Sì, per favore, yes, I'm much interested to know what you guys have to say or to ask, or even if it's just a commentary.
When you wrote the script, did you already already think about this actor, there is something that is connected with this actor, or just came out and you find out later the actor that was the protagonist?
No, actually, no. I just found out very, very late in the process of preparation, because this film was written through some years. I shot my previous film after having written the first version of this script. Then luckily we had enough time to write it, to write with the composers of the music. And at a given point, we thought, and I say we, like me, my assistant, my script writer, my producer, we thought, oh, this has to be a professional, because he has to sing, he has to act. It's very demanding, it's very challenging. And we did a casting with almost all the professional actors of that scope of age. It was not let's say, as closed as it is in the film right now. Let's say from 55 to 75. And we see, well, almost all the professional actors that wanted to do the casting. We've seen some singers too, from pop music to lyric singers. And I had 2 or 3 options, but I was not enough in love with any of to go on this thing of doing a film. And then one night during that process, I was in a party, a very small party, and I watched Miguel, the the actor of the film, and I was just like watching him, how he danced, how he spoke to people, how he acted, in that party situation. And I knew him because he was a programmer of a very big cultural center in Lisbon. So he's not a public figure, but I know who he was. But I didn't know him personally, but his image kept on my head for some days, and so I got his contact and challenged him to to do the casting, which he did. And he already brought something that we thought it was of the character, which is this thing of having nothing to lose. He had nothing to lose, and at the same time, so he was very relaxed in doing those casting, but at the same time with a strong ethic work. And that was important to me. That was important to me. And so although he didn't sing amazingly, but also the character is not a singer, he's a salesman. So he conquered me. And in my previous films, the protagonist is a non-actor, or a non-professional actor, as I prefer to call. And I thought in this one it should be a professional, but it turned out that it wasn't.
Because his part was very delicate, so that was the reason why I asked, because it's very connected with all the.
Yeah, then we adapted a lot of things of the film
Okay.
to him, as we would for any other actor or person we would choose. But of course, then when the film came out, some people in the interviews asked them what did he do, what did he change of the film because it was him, and he was saying, no, we just worked together and I tried to do my best and stuff. And I told him and told the press too that actually the fact that I chose him changed everything, but in an intuitive way. I knew that he could do long takes, for instance, which I really like. And also I knew that his way of moving is not as controlled as a professional actor that has his body already trained, and so even his way of speaking. So yeah, the whole movie, then the whole preparation after we chose him was adapted to him, because honestly he is the film, and I'm very lucky that we could work together.
Forse... Sì, sì.
Lo sai che non ti sento.
Che ansia il microfono. Buonasera. I wanted to ask, since the movie has a very strong, I don't know how to say it, visual identity, like it's really strong, the imagery, I wanted to ask how much of it was planned from the beginning, like written in the script, or storyboarded, and how much was improvised on the set?
No storyboard.
Oh.
I don't I don't do storyboards. I don't understand that way of. I accept it, of course, nothing against, but I cannot draw a line. It's no. Actually, I think it was more. How can I put it? I believe in a physical cinema. So it's very important to me that, for instance, he is really in a car and really driving in a real highway. And it's also very important to me that the fake studio is real also, you know. So basically I was very careful, for instance, choosing the hotel to shoot, choosing all the sets in the outskirts of Lisbon, his house, his office, all that. And then it's I don't know, the normal, well, at least the normal for me, preparation of a film. With, as you can imagine, because it was an hotel, we didn't get to rehearse in the hotel because it was it was functioning at the same time. And what I rely on and what I give privilege is to rehearse with the actor. And we rehearse like in theater, in an empty room, black, white. Well, it was the offices of the production company, and it's the time where I discover the character is through rehearsing, and it's each time more, it's where the moment of the preparation of the film that I like more to rehearse, especially because I don't he was not a professional actor, so it wouldn't be just fair for me to put him in front of a 30 people crew to shoot him. And perhaps paradoxically, when you are very rehearsed, you can improvise a lot, because there's something that would give you sureness that you're doing all right. And so shooting in the sets were most like Miguel adapting and me adapting, and actually we had fun. I know there's lots of ways of doing films, and some of my colleagues don't want to rehearse, and I'm okay with that. It's but I really like to be in rehearsals in an empty room with the actors, just have the time to hear them, just have the time to understand their time of being. and then it's easy and exciting to adapt to the situations. Yeah. Welcome.
Qualche altra domanda? Considerazioni, insomma. Faccio un'altra domanda io. Of course, I'm very curious to ask you. Of course, a lot of people maybe did this question to you, especially here in Italy. But I would like to ask you this profuse exchange you have with Alessandro 𝐍𝐤𝐿, which is the editor of TECHNOBOSS, and you were the editor of I tempi felici verranno presto, l'estate di Giacomo. And I would like to ask you about this exchange that you made and that you will made, and this collaboration. How did it started and how it's so profuse for you both?
Well, it's very easy. We sit in front of the computer, I do the things, and he talks. No, I'm joking. It was well, our films are very different. I think formally very different. Perhaps the ultimate goal, which is non è facile a dire, but perhaps l'obiettivo ultimo, it's the same, but they are very, very different films.
Yeah.
And we met some, well, more than 10 years ago in a film festival showing our short films. And we immediately connected. And then Alessandro invited me to edit his first feature film, Estate di Giacomo, and we had such a great time together, structuring and discussing the film, that I retributed his invitation and asked him to edit my next feature film. And it's a thing that's now we've just ended editing his new feature, and it's really a gift, a pleasure, because luckily every project is different. So there is no rule that we used for one film that we will use on the other one. And so there's always this excitement of how are we going to get out of this now together, and yeah, it's like that, because I don't know, editing at the end is more like sharing the same. I would say the same ethical look,
Yeah.
Of film, of cinema, and even if its formal language is very different, mine is very artificial, very constructed, very written. His is totally different. He's very more a documentary style. What happens, what doesn't happen, and but at the same time, and Alessandro is not an editor for let's say of experience and stuff, but what is the most important thing is to discuss the film and its possibilities. So it's one of those accidents in life that one should be open to, I think.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Fatevi più avanti,
And Alessandro doesn't understand a word of Portuguese. And me too. His last film was in Friulan, and I don't understand a word of Friulan
Yeah.
too.
We neither, I guess.
So that goes beyond it.
Beyond the language. Sì, aspetta che ti do il microfono.
Ciao, grazie. I'm not even sure about my question. I don't know how to ask it correctly. But
In italiano si vuoi tradurre.
no, I mean
Ho
about
capito.
the content of the question, because what did you find interesting in this protagonist characteristics when you started thinking about the film? I mean, this protagonist is like, for his political characteristics, is a lot represented. I don't know if you get what I mean. Like, it's not a new character under a lot of sides, in my opinion. So I want to know, what do you find interesting about his story and his view of the world when you started thinking about the movie?
Well, as you are not sure of your question and I'm not sure of my answer.
Sei in Italian, like, come un protagonista per le sue caratteristiche inflazionato, è una storia, è un protagonista che abbiamo appunto per le sue caratteristiche visto in
He's
molti.
saying that the protagonist is just we have seen it before in other stories.
Non
in
mi
other
riferisco
movies.
proprio al tipo, proprio alle caratteristiche politiche, no?
Ah,
Perché oggi un personaggio del genere può essere interessante. E non, I'm not asking in like a critical way. I'm just interested in your vision, in your in your idea.
Okay. I was interested, and I always was, in what happens to, it's not precisely, but we can use that word, with normal people, or the things that we can share. This guy is a common guy. He has a regular job, he has a regular home, he has a regular family situation. He is divorced, but it's normal these days. Or so he has everything, let's say, normal and even boring. We can say that. And the fact that he's about to retire, it's a thing in the film, but mainly is okay. And what interested me in building this character was that after all, even if he's not a big shot and if he's not a special guy, it's not a special characters. I don't I'm not interested in special characters in cinema. I think it's too easy for like to do a film about it. I'm more interested in not playing the game outside the film. I mean, this guy is a regular guy. It could be my father, it could be your father or grandfather. Well, at least in the society where the film was made. But still, yes, something that for me is exciting. And this, yes, I concede it's different. Is that he's okay with life. And that for me is very rare these days. That I don't like films about suffering, and the majority of films you see about people getting old, it's about the thing that the I don't know, the decadence of the body or of the self, of being old and stuff, and we tend to forget that for instance, retirement is also a new phase for him. There's always newness. Like a kid who's entering school, it's new for the kid. And also for him, entering retirement is new for him. And he lives for that novelty. And so I think what makes this character interesting to me is that he is okay with life. And that should be very normal and very simple, but it's not. And it's not mainly on the art representation, and I'm not speaking only now about cinema, but in novel, in painting, we always try to find richness and being interested in tortured souls or unique characters, and for me that's not what art is about. And so that's what drove me into this kind of a common character.
Grazie.
Prego.
Qualcun altro? Tu? Ah no, ti avevi abbassato la mascherina, mi ero... Sì.
Hi. I'm not usually into this kind of movie, but I have to say, the songs sold the movie for me. Where can I listen to these songs again? This is my question because as soon as the movie ended, I looked them up like online on Spotify or YouTube, and I couldn't find them. But I found them so endearing. I thought they were amazing. Did you wrote the songs?
Well, there is only one way you can listen to the songs, and that's an interesting story behind it. The only way to listen to the songs is to buy the French DVD edition of the film. And I tell you why, because the French DVD edition of the film has the film in one disc and the soundtrack in another disc. And that it was how it was planned too. Because I work with 3 different composers for the songs, and me and my co-script writer, we did 2 big sessions, like residencies with them, because we wanted the character to sing using the same language as he spoke in the parts of the film which are not sung. And so it was a really nice ping pong between the musicians and we, the script writers. For instance, when he comes to the hotel and there's this chorale group that sings doing the shaking, it was an idea of the musicians that I had to integrate in the film. Also, when he sings the song to the machine where you pay the highway, it was also one idea of the musicians that we had to integrate. And because the actor is not a professional singer, we hoped that we could do a soundtrack release of the film, but we noticed that there are lots of small human mistakes that while watching the film you don't, they are not important because you see the character, the singing, but if you listen all alone, you start oi 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 oi. And so for respect of Miguel the actor and of the work of the composers, we decided that the soundtrack should be given only accompanying the film. And unfortunately that was not possible for the DVD Portuguese DVD edition, but it was possible in the French one, and it's actually the only way to listen to it, and it's just the real moments of the film, just with the ambient sound and stuff. The other way is to mail me privately.
Well, I maybe would just do that because like I was so tired. At one point, I was falling asleep. I'm not gonna lie, but it's not your fault. It's mine. Well, the songs started, and I spent the rest of the day. It flew by. I was just, when's the other song? What's gonna happen next? When you said that it was like a slow burner, I really felt that. Like I thought at one point I was burning with passion for the movie. I really liked it.
Grazie, Dani.
Lucille.
I think your movie is very precise on what is work today. And at the same time, there is a very big distance and it's non-realistic. So I wanted to know why you choose this distance, being also very precise, and if you think that we can see better the world with this distance.
Well, I think that's exactly what you said at the end. I'm happy that you found it precise, and I think it can be only because of it's not the main point of the film, and there are lots of films now about the working conditions, the working situations throughout the world, throughout mostly Western societies, and I have nothing against it, of course, but I tried to do the, let's say, the work, of course there's lots of issues with work on this film, but they are not the main plot, let's say. And so the main plot is the oldest one. It's a love story. It's someone who tries to reconquer someone from the past. It's the oldest story, I think. But then we enjoyed doing this. How can you say, this regard on the work reality, and it's actually curious because we started on the ludic, on the playful part of it. On the beginning, there was this guy in the car. That was what I wanted, to be able to spend some time with someone on a car, because it's a public-private situation. And then when we invented this job, this security thing, just because it provided lots of physical situations, the barriers, the cameras, and then it was only after that we got to the moment where he was in his office with his colleagues, and the little disputes he has with his colleagues, and the little disputes he has with the hotel manager, and yeah, it's just I guess it's just the way I see it. It's nothing more than that. I wanted it to be able to create physical moments, like when he's trapped in a corridor, or when the barrier works or doesn't work. It's more things of that interest me. But of course I couldn't portray a bit this this reality of the work system, that I think it's I don't know, for some people of the age of that character, it's really a reality. and at the same time, well, I think technology is just an extension of the spirit. You do what I don't believe in artificial intelligence, and I think it's just technology was always made by man, so we do what we can. Of course, that's also a weapon of knowledge and power. I am aware of that. But it can be also a weapon of cinema. And I wanted to play with the very contradiction of some physical numbers of like primitive cinema, of the barrier going up and down. And at the same time of the phone doesn't exist on the film. It's just on the soundtrack, because cinema has that possibility of having a soundtrack. And he was a guy who is alone almost all the time, and I don't want to be with him with a device on his hand. It was not visually interesting. So, but for the majority of time, it's playfulness that guides me. So how can I be more, let's say, more fun with each shot? And it's a bit like why that it was constructed.
Qualcun altro? Non vedo nessuna mano alzata. Ma direi che se non ci sono altre domande possiamo concludere qui. Quindi ringrazio 𝐍𝐢𝐼𝐼 per la sua gentilezza, per la sua disponibilità e per il suo bellissimo film.
No, grazie. Grazie.
Grazie a te. Buonanotte a tutti, grazie.
Grazie a tutti.